So let's think some more about gifting handmade textiles and how you, as the fiber artist, as the maker, can make things that recipients will appreciate, love, and actually use. Because to me, the saddest thing in the world is to make things for somebody else and the thing just sits on a shelf. I will never forget the sadness I felt on a visit to my dad, where he had shelves and shelves in his closet of sweaters, many of which I had made him, and all of which looked like they'd just never been touched. To me, that's really sad. And I honestly don't know what happened to them after he died. Yeah. So, anywho, handmade textiles are so much fun to make. And yet they come with this risk that the person receiving them will not understand the love, the labor, the effort, the design considerations that went into it. So I want to talk a little bit about this gift sweater. This is a sweater I made for a total stranger. I will never meet the person who will, I hope, love and cherish this sweater. All I had was measurements and the knowledge that he wasn't allergic to wool, we hope. Uh, so on this sweater, I opted to play it pretty safe. This is a classic style. It's very simple. It's not. It's a little more fun. You know, it was definitely more fun than plain old stockinette, but it was still simple enough that I could knit it while I was watching TV or movies without losing track of what I was doing in the pattern. It will. It's made from a superwash worsted weight wool, Barocco's Ultra Wool, which turns out to be a pretty good wool for I'm going to call it an economical wool. It is sturdy. It is super wash, so the recipient can wash by machine if he prefers. It can be washed by hand. It comes in a huge variety of colors, and I was really pleasantly surprised by how well it worked up and how good this sweater looks overall. So, like I said, playing it safe. Classic but classy design. Didn't go crazy with colors. This grayish, I think, will work on just about anybody. And my observation is that in general, men tend to prefer less bright colors, more neutral colors. So this is basically a zip-up sweatshirt. It zips partially. There we go. And the recipient will be able to wear it over another shirt, so it won't have to be laundered constantly. So, and the related but not the coordinating but not matching hat that I just blocked will pair with it or not as the recipient chooses. Knitted fabrics, you can get away with a lot because knit fabric stretches so much that as long as you're in the ballpark, most things will fit. Most knitted fabrics have so much stretch to them that, like I said, if you're in the ballpark, probably things are going to fit. It is vital, however, to get a set of basic measurements from the person, and that can ruin the surprise. But I've actually discovered when knitting for the young adults in my life, the children of my siblings, that not a surprise might actually be better. I have collaborated with various family members on what they would like. So they send me a photo from a magazine, or my young niece sent me a TikTok video and said, I like the sweater the girl in this TikTok video is wearing. And I was able to find an almost perfect match for that design on Ravelry. And apparently she loves this sweater so much, uh, they can't get it off her to wash it. Um, so we collaborate on design elements, on colors, and especially how the recipient, what their laundry situation is like. So this person, I don't know if they've got a washing machine. And if they don't, it's probably less work to hand wash a sweater than it is to take it to the laundromat and put it in this set aside delicate cycle. So I will attach to this series of videos a Google Doc that I put together on just things to tell the recipient about, to send along with the gift item, so that they don't open it up and get this look of dismay on their face of, how am I ever going to use it? How am I going to take care of it? Is it okay to use this? Some people, for instance, don't want hand woven napkins for their tables because they fear, oh, it'll get stained, it'll get messed up. So with that said, let me turn to some more ideas for you on form following function. And I'm going to use the F word here, which is the word float. For hand woven fabrics, everything is based on the idea of the float, that one thread crosses over another and then goes under the next one. And it alternates. I'm not going to be able to do this easily with my fingers, but like this. So this is a float. This is a float. So without floats, we wouldn't have weaving. Now, there are unwanted floats, the ones you don't expect. We call those mistakes, and they can generally be remedied. But this textile, for instance, is all made of floats. It is floatrific. This is an overshot design. Let me see if I can get it actually where the camera can show it to you. There we go. This is what's called an overshot design. And there is a ground fabric just in white that is woven in plain weave. And you can just barely see it under the patterning. And then the pattern is made up of floats in various lengths. Now, this is a really delicate pattern. You can actually see the ground fabric more easily on the wrong side. So all these white bits are on the other side of the fabric, where the blue is floating over the top of this white. So this is a reversible. Oh, you can also see the ground fabric very well on the hems, because you don't want a lot of bulk for the hems. So these are just woven with plain weave. So a fabric like this is actually a dresser scarf for my bedroom. And unfortunately, one of my beastie kitties likes to sit on it. This is perfect for something decorative that does not face a lot of wear and stress. It would be touchy for something like a tablecloth that might need to be laundered more often. This doesn't have to be washed very often at all. And it would be an absolute disaster concept for, say, a baby blanket, because it would need to be laundered all the time. Babies could get their little fingers stuck into the floats, just like my darling Scorpius has gotten his little clawsies into this. And you may be saying to yourself, Deb, why on earth did you put this beautiful textile in a place where the cat could get to it? Well, I don't always think. Okay, so something with long floats would not be good for, say, a throw, a baby blanket, anything that people are handling constantly. Might not even work well for, say, napkins or kitchen towels. So this fabric, this is a beautiful huck lace design from Tom Knisely's Handwoven Linens book. On this fabric, there are still a lot of floats, but they're fairly self-contained. And because this is made of all cotton, whereas the dresser scarf is very fine cotton and then tencel, this napkin can be thrown in the washing machine and dryer constantly. I do it all the time. This is just plain old pearl cotton, simple as can be, striking design, and its form follows its function. I cannot stress enough how important that design principle is when you're a hand weaver or a knitter. That for instance, what if I had made this rugged sweater out of silk? It would have stood up, but would not have, the fabric would have felt completely different, and it might have made the recipient nervous. Oh, it's silk. Can I wear it? Without messing it up. I'm afraid to wash it, etc., etc. So this is easy. And on the occasions where a little turmeric has colored, I can easily spot launder this if I need to between washes. Here's another example of how floats can make the fabric, but also sometimes limit its functions. So this is a waffle weave kitchen towel from a kit I got from Halcyon, and I really enjoyed weaving it. Waffle weave is often considered a really great thing for kitchen towels because the structure of the fabric, it kind of collapses. And so you get these little pockets that can help absorb water as you're drying your dishes. However, I discovered that the floats in the design could, for instance, get caught on kitchen knives, on the end of a kitchen knife where the blade turns. So I actually just use all the towels from this kit for drying my hands as opposed to drying my dishes when I need to do something funky. And again, this is either cotton or a yarn called Cotta-lin, which is a blend of cotton and linen. And this I can throw in the washing machine and the dryer without any hassle. A final example. This is a throw from hand spun yarn in the weft and commercial yarn in the warp. And you can tell it's commercial yarn because when you look at the fringe, which I twisted before I ever fold the fabric, it's very even. If it had been my hand spun, it would have been really wavy because in fact, a lot of this hand spun, the white and the gray, is some of the very first hand spun, the white is some of the very first hand spun I ever did. It was from one of the first fleeces I ever processed from raw. And oh my gosh, it is so wavy. I'm a little embarrassed, but it's perfect for a blanket like this. This sits at the end of my bed. My cats love it. They've actually been chewing on it, which is a bit of a problem. Um, but it's the simplest possible plain weave. So when you're making something that gets a lot of use, that gets handled a lot, plain weave and twill tend to be really good options, whereas a weave structure like overshot, not such a great idea. I would even be hesitant, which is a shame because I love this pattern so much. I would make this out of different fibers for, say, a cushion cover. I've been planning to weave fabric for a bench cushion for my weaving bench, and if I did this in Cotta-lin, it would probably stand up as opposed to this tencel, which is a little more delicate. But again, it's always best to weave a sample and finish the fabric. And then if it's something like a bench cushion cover, sit on it for a while. See how it does. See if, for instance, having something in your pocket might snag on the floats on this fabric. So we need floats. We love floats, but understand what they are and how they can affect the hand and the quality and the durability of your fabric.